And joining us now is Razan Rashidi, director of the Syria Campaign, a human rights group based in Berlin. Razan, thank you so much for being with us. I know you were forced to leave your country, Syria, in order to continue your work. Much of your family, however, was not able to get out. It's just one family's life experience under the Assad dictatorship. But what was it like?
Thank you for having me. I think the state of fear, this is how I would describe Syria. I'm sure you are seeing all the footage as well from the dungeons of Assad, from Sednaya prison. But I think we need also to think of all the hospitals that were destroyed, of all the schools that were attacked, the markets, and all the families that are, like the mother and the family of Austin Tice. There are hundreds of thousands of Syrian families who are still looking for loved ones. And I think Richard said it, like I'm looking at the footage from that security apparatus that he visited. It looks for me like a five-star hotel in comparison to the footage of the that I have seen where my own husband was, for example, and the horror stories that he told me. I just want to say one thing about the prisons in Syria, being told to me by one of the detainees that all the photos we are seeing and the videos are the film set, but the horror film is not showing still. So even more than everything that we are seeing today.
Yeah, and for decades, that regime denied any human rights violations existed, and they said, no, there's no political prisons here. So many people, however, were tortured and killed in these prisons, yet those people's stories were essentially made invisible by that authoritarian regime. Is there now hope that their truth, that their existence can be recognized?
I think this is exactly some of the things we work at the Syria campaign, to make sure that victims and survivors' stories are preserved. And the regime did not only commit those atrocities, but with the support of Russia and Iran and others, have waged huge disinformation campaigns to cover up its atrocities. For example, on the use of chemical weapons, many of the survivors would tell you, we did not only survive and we have to deal with the aftermath of living through that, but we're also living through the agony of denial, because the whole world was denying and believing the Assad theory of fighting only terrorists, or we don't have political opposition. And I think today, at least the world will see. I would stress that we as human rights defenders, and I would talk about my colleagues in victim and survivor groups, those who survived Assad atrocities, made sure the world know. We have seen horrific photos leaked by an ex-officer, Caesar Files. We've heard testimonies, horrific testimonies, but sometimes I think it is important to say that the world knew about all of this and let it happen. And I really hope that seeing all of those atrocities and evidence will end impunity toward crime, not only in Syria, but everywhere.
And Razan, I've often thought about how countries can go from dictatorship to democracy or to a better life. And I'm just thinking, does Syria have what Portugal, for example, had in 1974, which is the international support of the Willy Brandts of the world and the Mário Soareses of Portugal in 1974? Does Syria have what Spain had in 75 at the death of Franco? Does it have a Felipe González? Where is the future hope for your country?
I think this is the first time we toppled a dictator, so there's still a lot to learn. But I would say the hope lies in Syria's civil society, the people, the white helmets who've been saving, children from under the rubble, women like myself, like others who believe in secular, free and diverse Syria. My hope is only with those people, with the people that Richard is meeting today in Damascus, chanting for Syria, united and civic, but I think the road ahead of us is not easy, is not difficult after all of those atrocities that the population have lived through, but I do have hope that change is coming.
And the millions and millions of people that during these last 50 years have been forced to leave their country and search for a life elsewhere. I can never forget that image of that little 3-year-old boy who lost his life and was found drowned in the shores of that beach in Turkey. These are people who had dreams, hopes, and aspirations, and yet there is life, and there are many who have been willing to give their life for freedom. And I hope, Ghassan, that is the future of Syria. I thank you for being with us today. Very much appreciated.
Thank you, Jose.